welcome back, Left Reckoners, another Sunday show. Hello, David.
Hey, man. I've been a little busy today.
Yeah?
Yeah, we have a special visitor in the great city of Austin, Texas. None other than the true president of these United States, Mr. Donald Trump.
I mean, I'm sure he's going... What's that street with all the saloons and stuff? I'm sure he's going to make...
6th Street. Yeah, he's going out on 6th Street. He's going to break... After spending some time with Joe Rogan, he's finally going to decide it's time. It's time to have a drink, time to wash it down.
I need some boots.
Honestly, that would... I wonder how... Trump would do on 6th Street, because I'm of two minds of it. Like, one, the obvious thing is, like, you know, the frat guys are going to fucking love Trump. But also, you know, 6th Street, like, attracts a lot of people from all over the state. And, you know, Austin's a pretty liberal city. You know, I could see him, you know, either being like met as a savior or just a full-on revolt.
Yeah, I got a little bit and I don't mean to. I know there's anarchists who listen to even this program. But there's an anarchisty vibe to that area of Austin, and I can imagine Trump not being the most popular guy there among at least a certain element.
Totally, but you know, it's all code and plan. No, but you know, he's on the Rogan show, which I guess I don't know how quickly that's going to come out. It might be out by the time this goes live. But really funny. I gotta say that like this is where we're at when it comes to American media. That like the biggest hits are like going on the Theo Von show or the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm surprised that Rogan is having Trump on. I think that it's just too tantalizing not to touch if you're Joe Rogan. It sort of does codify you as like, you know, the most important media institution in this country.
It's interesting because Kamala also said she wanted to be on Rogan, and I think she should push that forward, but I just would like to take a victory lap, but we all should, about the Bernie Sanders visit in 2020. You this is politics, you fucking idiots.
Bernie and Ben Burgess, the two Bs. Remember, Ben got attacked for going on Joe Rogan and talking about why democratic socialism is good.
Right. And I remember this in 2017 or whatever, this news story came out from the Clinton campaign that they were upset at the Trump team the way they won. They didn't play fair. And I've told David this. I've been going through Hunter S. Thompson's sort of gonzo papers and Great Shark Hunt, and his basically collected political writings from the 80s and 90s. The Clintons have absolutely no standing to tell anyone how you should campaign and what is a good campaign to run and one worth winning. Because, that's not how they didn't win by being the purest at heart in 1992.
I mean, presidency, but also like, you know, people forget that like, you know, Bill Clinton came from like an old school kind of Democratic Party, Southern Democratic Party, where they were not playing fair. Let's just put it at that. That's so funny.
Speaking of politics, there's another sort of gargantuan move in the political sphere.
Oh my God.
It kind of, I must admit, feels a little bit like Groundhog's Day, because like I thought we did this already, but I guess we hadn't. So here's Tulsi Gabbard with Trump, and this is the funniest part about this is Trump's acting. Trump is in full like The Apprentice mode of like, we got to get the reaction shots, Donald. So make sure you know gape for the camera. There it is.
Because of my love for our country, and specifically because of the leadership that President Trump has brought to transform the Republican Party and bring it back to the party of the people and the party of peace, that I'm proud to stand here with you today and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party.
For folks just listening, that was Trump with just his arms hanging straight down to the side,
extending his wingspan. You know, it's like what's the phrase? Like his jaw was on his jaw was on the floor. He was knuckle dragging on that one. That's how
exactly. He was like in that like Jessica Rabbit sort of cartoons, like when the wolf's jaw hits the floor and his tongue rolls out into like a red carpet.
Okay, but how the fuck is Tulsi doing this? I mean, as you said before, it feels like Groundhog Day. Because Tulsi Gabbard, she made a very famous. She made a very publicized speech about how she was leaving the Democrat Party and has spent the last 3 months campaigning for Donald Trump. I mean, what are we doing here that she's officially announcing that she's a member of the Republican Party? Bitch, sorry, we know.
Yes, Tulsi.
Oh man, that is good. I mean, anything to for her to try the next go at what our good friend Mike Prisner calls the Tulsi Gabbard Monologue Hour TV show. She has tried this. She has tried to pivot to media multiple times now, and it's always the same kind of premise. It's just Tulsi Gabbard by herself giving a kind of personal monologue about corruption in the Democrat Party or whatever.
What a fierce independent. And I will just remind people, like, she endorsed Joe Biden in 2020. She wants to stop progress, frankly, I think is the main thing in Tulsi's interest, and also make sure that she has a seat at any given table. But I don't know if that's really going to play out, because once you've made this announcement, like, what's the next one? Like, oh, I'm a super Republican. Donald Trump.
I've joined the Republican. I've joined the RNC. Like they've given me. I got a promotion.
I'm marrying Trump Jr. or Barron. Yeah.
Is she married? I think she is married to somebody.
Oh, for real?
But I could be wrong about that. I highly suggest if y'all are listening to this and you haven't watched our long and exhaustive episode on Tulsi Gabbard and her politics with Mike Prisner, I highly suggest y'all do that. That was something I really enjoyed doing with him because she is such a fascinating character. That piece is called "Exposing Tulsi Gabbard: Cults, Wars, and Scams" with Mike Prisner. But she really is like such a kind of. And we're feeding into this, I guess, a little bit here, but like she really only exists because of media narratives. This is somebody who's been pretty weak as a politician, but he's been somebody who's been very, very effective at doing exactly what she's doing right there, which is standing next to somebody more famous than her. Right. This is why so many people on like the left, big quotes there, got really into Tulsi for a little bit because she was like the one Democrat who would stand with Bernie Sanders when he was running, and now she just found the next group of suckers,
which she coincidentally did after she sort of struck out.
The problem, Matt, is that fucking the Bernie or bust guys are just too broke. I mean, this is a group of like cheapskates. This is a group of people who aren't always gainfully employed. She realized, like, I need to get into the Republican Party where there's a lot of old horny dudes that will continue to fatten my pockets for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, enough of this $27 donation.
I want to be on this. I don't want to be on the political side that's like complaining about things like Medicare for all and the minimum wage. I want to be on the side that buys gold. I want to be on the side that buys gold coins
and gets like thousands of dollars to be at a dinner for Israel or something. Yeah, it's a lot easier on that side of things.
It is a beautiful thing, though, how Trump is bringing all these people together. He's brought a lot of folks together. And I just realized there's a really unfortunate through line here, Matt, between all of our segments as we get into the main one today. All three now have a direct Austin, Texas connection. Trump's on Rogan. Tulsi Gabbard just bought a house north of Austin. I think it's very, very likely that she tries to run for Congress from Texas in the near future. And this last one, Elon Musk, who moved many of his business operations to the state of Texas. We got to talk about him and his role in Trump's campaign because it has been kind of fascinating. Like in a lot of ways, Musk being a big Trump guy is not particularly surprised. I mean, would you, if you were to go back, Matt, to when me and Michael were roasting Musk for his, he has always had the face for it. But if we were to go back in 2017 or so, remember when those kids were stuck in the cave in Thailand, right? It was Thailand, and And Musk was calling
Right.
that scuba diver who saved those young kids a pedophile with no
Sus.
evidence.
Because he wanted to save kids.
What reaction do you think we would have gotten in that room if we sort of beamed in from the future and told them that Elon Musk would not only be supporting Trump but would actually like be a kind of like main figure in the Trump 2024 campaign? Do you
Well,
think
a
we
lot
would have
of
been surprised then?
I don't know if we would have been, but I think a lot of there was a lot more people that were very sort of wanted us to be a little bit more judicious.
Yeah, I mean, that was up there with Bitcoin in terms of like things that we were like very, very like strong-headed on, and we would get messages from people who loved the program and loved us. But Musk was one of those guys that people would get a little sad when we'd say anything against them.
But Elon visited the White House pretty early on, I believe, in Trump's administration, but even before then, like, because like I remember Elon in my Obama era, libness, and I remember what was that? Not Solyndra. Was that the one that was like the big green investment that went bad, and so all the conservatives were like, "See, the government shouldn't put money towards
I can't remember right now,
a
but
green investment." And I remember like Elon Musk was like the available counterpoint at that point, like 2008, 2009, because it's like, well, actually, we can do this and make these cool electric cars. And it turns out that actually like crediting all that stuff to a capitalist turns it into a giant monster that needs to be put down. And look, and now again, here he is making America great again.
And again, the guy is very unwell. Yeah, I mean, so obviously, like, again, I think that it's not too surprising that he would end up supporting Trump. I think that what is surprising is how committed he has made himself to it, and how publicly committed he has made himself to it. Not only just like himself and his finances, but taking over a platform like Twitter to use that. To try to bolster and support Trump. And, like there's a part of it that like whenever you talk about Musk at this point, he has become such a cartoonish character that you can sort of forget like the actual material reality that this is like one of the wealthiest people in the world supporting certainly like the wealthiest president or presidential candidate ever. Right. I mean, I guess you could. Some of the Rockefellers ran back, and anyway, we don't need to get into all of that. Like the point is, like this is an alliance of like the richest motherfuckers on the planet, like trying to take control of our democracy. And when you put it in that way, like it does become very worrying what it is that somebody like Elon Musk wants from the situation. And I wanted to sort of take us through some of these like articles and reporting that have been done on the Musk Trump connection. Because there is certainly a lot of things that we should be worried about, and some things that we'll be glad about that we'll get to in a little bit. But maybe we just start with this Jacobin piece. We don't have to go super deep into it. This is via Jacobin and The Lever. Elon Musk could secure a huge tax cut if Trump wins, thanks to a provision buried in the There we go. Thanks to a provision buried in the tax code, Elon Musk could reap one of the largest personalized tax breaks in American history if former President Donald Trump wins the 2024 election and fulfills his pledge to appoint Musk to a top government post, according to tax and ethics experts' review of a long-standing statute. Now, we'll get into that and what that means in just a second, but remember that this has been something that Musk has been very adamant about for years, right, Matt? That he thinks that he gets taxed too much. Obviously, there was years in recent history where Elon Musk effectively paid $0 in tax. Don't forget that Elon Musk has received the vast majority of his fortune from government largesse. But this is not like it just so happens he might benefit from it. This is like a prime motivator for Musk in politics and in public life for a while. He's complaining about his tax bill.
Yeah, was it with maybe Lex Friedman or someone where he's like, with a wealth, like we allocate wealth way better than.
That's what it is. It's like, yeah, taxes are when you take taxes are when you take capital away from people who have shown that they're very good with allocating capital, capitalists, and give it to people who are very bad at allocating capital, the government. And this is just like a.
And I just mentioned a couple industries which I think kind of point to the opposite. Airplanes, Like space, yeah, right. Like, that's another one. Guns. That I think conservatives care about that one. All industries basically created by the government. Like the American gun industry is basically a Civil War creation. Descends from that. And you look at what's going on with Boeing as less and less of the engineers get moved in for more and more of the guys like Elon Musk who don't know jack shit but having money, and things get worse and worse. And I mean, we're in 2024. We went to the moon in the fucking 60s, bro.
Yeah.
And we're talking about you're talking about 2030 for Mars, and that's a promise that won't be kept. So yeah,
he's smart by making these promises 5 years in the future now, though, because it's just like it's too long to almost get fact checked on it.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so so this piece in the Lever is sort of breaking down. Going forward, the United States Office of Government Ethics, a federal watchdog agency, notes that the, quote, the basic criminal conflict of interest statute prohibits government employees from participating personally and substantially in official matters where they have a financial interest. And that agency can require top officials to divest corporate holdings that create a conflict of interest in a government job. A provision inserted into the tax code 35 years ago allows government officials to indefinitely defer all capital gains taxes on such divestment, a tax benefit worth potentially tens of billions of dollars to Elon Musk if appointed by Trump to a top government post. So the idea here is that if Musk, and look, one of the things that we've been talking about, I mean, I know I've been doing this for years, talking about Musk's companies, is that Elon Musk has been running these hype beast organizations, right, for lack of a better term. Tesla, even SpaceX, have always been, oh, they produce some cars, they're interesting, but these might be the cars of the future, right? And that, we want to be, funded and invested in the company that is going to be the car company, the same way that Ford or GM are in the future.
They're lined up to be the robotaxi monopoly in 15 years.
Yeah. And whether or not it's a good investment, time will tell. Now, somebody like Elon Musk has recognized that a lot of his money comes from, the hype around him. That's why he realized that Twitter, for example, was something that was really important for his companies. Has used that very effectively, to sort of protect and boost his assets. Well, the problem is you need to find a way to get out of it, and maybe a Doge position in the Trump administration might provide you with a really nice way to sort of get out while the going is good, and also shield yourself from having to pay significant taxes on that. So that's just one of a few of these kind of funky Musk motivations. Do you want to get to the next one, or?
Sorry, yeah, my couldn't find my marker. But there's also this thing, the Doge. You mentioned the Doge, and just got to remind people about this idiocy. Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. And what's fascinating about Musk and crypto is there's plenty of quotes of him basically saying what we say about it, which is that there's actually no inherent value to the thing. It's basically speculative. But again, he's willing to. I mean, he's been investigated by for market manipulation using tweets, right? He regularly blatantly does it, and so obviously he has to get investigated, otherwise what are these bodies doing? But yeah, that is very clearly why he bought Twitter.
No, I don't think there's. No, I mean, and why are we acting like this is any different from a billionaire buying the newspaper or the TV station? It's the exact same kind of thing.
Right. Imagine if George Soros bought Twitter.
Oh my God. No, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know the details of it, but the right wing was getting worried that George Soros is, sorry, I'm forgetting his name. Is buying
Alexander,
some radios.
I think.
Yeah, buying some radio stations across the country. Probably a big one. They probably shouldn't be able to do that, by the way. Just because I don't think anyone should be able to own all the radio stations. But it's crazy to watch Elon Musk, who bought a fucking one of the largest publishing operations in the world, to push his own stuff, saying oh no, there might be some undue influence over some radio stations in Nevada if this happens. And, it is unbelievable for him to be fucking pushing this kind of thing. Now, this gets to I think the second bit is that Musk has operated in very, very. He's operated in like the hype industry for a long time, but he has also done things like break the law or push ethics to their limit. When we were talking about the self-driving cars back in the day, Matt, I remember talking about this point early on. Is that like people are like, oh, Elon Musk is the first person to invent a self-driving car? No, that's not true at all. Elon Musk was the only guy who was willing to put those systems out on the road when they were untested, and again, led to death and destruction for people. Google had this, other companies were producing it, and they shelved them because they said this would be bad for Google if Google is associated with killing a pedestrian, right? And Musk was like, go right ahead on this.
And all of these self-driving tech, like the idea, Uber basically bought the robotics department at Carnegie Mellon. Like the truth about American capitalism now is that research development budgets aren't even close to what they were in like the mid-century. Like people talk about the phone monopoly, Bell, and the amount that Bell Telecom used to put towards research and developing new things. Now the model is monopolies sit here on stacks of cash, and if somebody is able to bring out a new idea, they buy it up and badge it and make sure it can make money for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the thing is we're talking about people peddling influence, and trying to regulate the regulators, let's call it. And this is so for Musk with like the self-driving cars, to companies like SpaceX, one of the big complaints now is that the federal government is saying, hey, those rockets that you've been launching, they've had a myriad of problems. For example, all of the particulate that has been flown and strewn across South Texas, as with his launches, the destruction to public lands, to state-owned lands, to native lands, a myriad of issues there, evicting people from their homes. Right. We haven't even got to Tesla. Right. Which has, active investigations against them for killing of people here in the state of Texas, in Austin, at his Cybertruck facility, to some of the most extreme racism that I have seen as somebody who's been covering rich people fucking over everyday folks, at his facilities in Fremont, California, where they literally had a part of the factory that people called the quote plantation, where they were putting their black employees that happened to be some of the most dangerous, physical, and difficult jobs at the facility. Right. That's the government.
There's about 8 things from that story that we aren't saying because it's just gross to actually say them with your own mouth.
Yeah. So like, and I mean, we could go through the rest of it. The Boring Company right now. I'm sorry, like I know like a lot of the Austin and the Texas stuff best, obviously, because that's where I live. They've been dumping toxic water into our aquifers here, right? And he moved the company outside of Austin, so it's in a small town with a less effective and less boisterous and strong local regulations. Like the people who are sitting there on the county commission out there aren't usually like primed and ready to come up against one of the wealthiest people in the world, and who knows what politics that they have behind the scenes. But he's trying to play at a favorable court. So again, this is somebody who has companies that are causing significant environmental devastation. He is abusing workers all across the country, right? And he doesn't think that the government should have any say about how much of the country he owns, how many of the, if somebody who, again, is operating, if somebody should be operating, one of the, a big car manufacturing company, a big space company, a company like Starlink, which the U.S. government is now using, in theaters all across the globe, right? This is somebody who doesn't want to be subjected to the laws like us, like the rest of the country are. So there's a huge interest here in being able to shape and smash the regulatory apparatus in this country.
Yeah, and the judiciary is nicely set up to help him and join him along that. Like, he's not alone in this. Federalist Society sort of judiciary wants to get rid of a lot of these regulations.
I mean, and he moves his businesses to Texas, which is in the process of setting up and building out a court that is specifically and solely for big business, a court that would be different than the one I would go to if something happened, involving me or anyone else, a court that is specialized in the interests of the rich and powerful. I mean, you want to talk about, that's why it's so rich also to hear this guy going on about, 1776 and the Constitution are the most important things. This guy literally wants to be subjected to a different set of laws than his neighbors.
You will now go to space court.
Yeah.
Where we pick the judges.
That's a whole other fantasy. So there's one last one I wanted to get into when it comes to his worries before we get to some of the good news. Unless you had something else you want to add. You've made yourself quiet.
Is this the super PAC article you're referring to?
No, the super PAC is the dessert.
Is the good news? Okay,
yeah, we have one more. We have one more. Crazy thing to add to it. Musk has a lot to gain here. And I also think that he's very worried about what might happen in the future. And we haven't even talked about his personal motivations, right? With like how he wants to punish Democrats because he doesn't care for his children. And his hatred of his trans child, which is just so disgusting. But this is a big one. Elon Musk has been in regular contact with Vladimir Putin for years. Report. This is from Colin Woodward. This came out just on Friday in Jalopnik. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk may be a U.S. citizen, but we know for a while that he is sympathetic to Putin, blah, blah, blah. As it turns out, Musk's Russia connections actually run much deeper, as the SpaceX CEO has, quote, been in regular contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin since late 2022, the Wall Street Journal reports. This information was reportedly confirmed not only by multiple current and former U.S. European intelligence officials, but also by Russians as well. While they did discuss, quote, personal topics, Musk and Putin also allegedly talk business and geopolitical tensions. Two sources have reportedly confirmed that Putin once asked Musk not to activate Starlink in Taiwan as a favor to Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Now, this is egregious for many reasons. Regardless of what you think about, American relationships with China or with Russia, this is somebody who has massive security clearance because of his role in the space program and his role as a defense contractor, which people don't always add to the many accolades of this individual. But this is somebody literally speaking to leaders of foreign nations. And there's no doubt about it, the kind of conversations that they're, have you seen Elon Musk show in any way? The fact that this guy has security clearance is an insult to anyone who has ever been denied a job in this country. I'm never getting a job in the federal government, Matt, but I went to school in DC and I had friends who might work at this. And I definitely was somebody who got them in trouble. Oh, you fraternized with this kid who calls himself a socialist or whatever. I'm not even kidding. Some of my friends have been grilled about this kind of thing. And to think that some of those people might have not got fucking jobs. Well, Elon Musk is literally talking to somebody like Putin is unbelievable.
Yeah, putting aside all the stuff about China, who should decide if, say, a Starlink should be active in Taiwan is not a fucking billionaire defense contractor who, by the way, it's not just the defense contracts. Tesla has also gotten massive amounts of government subsidy, like $350 million under Barack Obama, right? That guy, just on the whims of the conversation he has with other foreign leaders, get to decide stuff. Because I gotta say, look, even if you're one of these folks who's very don't want to hear nothing about Russia, Elon Musk went to the West Bank, I feel 6 months ago, to have this great meeting with Netanyahu about how not anti-Semitic he is. And this, we don't have a country. We have a oligarchic takeover of a lot of, essential parts that were, I thought, thoroughly under governmental control, even NASA, something like that. We just have these guys out here who get to make promises that investors eat up. That's the main audience for it. and then like also throw some of that money at our elections.
Yeah, and actually, talking about money, we have one more thing before we get to the good news here. People may have seen the advertisements that Musk has been putting out. For somebody who's constantly talking about, really dangerous conspiracy theories that the Democratic Party is, quote, importing voters, which is just nonsensical and reactionary. You want to talk about one of the oldest kind of claims by right wingers is that, I mean, is it the Ben Franklin quote where he's like, is it Franklin or was it, what I'm talking about?
Democracy if you can keep it.
Well, there's that, but there's also the quote, and I actually think it might be, apocryphal. But the quote is like, once the people learn that they can vote themselves, money or something along that line, like the republic is finished. But I think that might actually be, an after the fact one. Anyway, the point is like the claim that like the government is going to just start giving out handouts for votes, is something that has been with our democracy from the get-go, right? With varying degrees of truth, because there were some political machines that were doing those kind of things. But that is illegal under U.S. law. And if you've noticed, Elon Musk has been claiming that he's going to give out $50 per sign up on his petition, as well as this $1 million,
folks.
This $1 million, yeah, definitely do. Get some money. This sweepstakes, this $1 million sweepstakes that he's been pushing. Now, one thing that is true is that like it is not illegal. To pay somebody to like help people register to vote or something like that. But it is illegal to try to induce political activity and to induce voting with any kind of, not just money, but any kind of material benefit when it comes to voting a certain way. Now, this is something that I think is just very clearly illegal. Eli Mistel in The Nation has a very long piece that you can read about this. But I wanted to get into some of the nuts and bolts here. Mistel notes that yes, paying people or offering people a lottery ticket to sign a petition is legal. That's fine. It's an exercise of free speech, at least in this ridiculous country. The problem with Musk's scheme is that in order to get the money, you have to be registered to vote. By making voter registration key to getting the money, Musk is trying to induce people who were not registered to register to vote. That is illegal. As the election law expert Rick Hasen points out, paying people, bribing people, or giving people pretty much anything of monetary value to induce them to register to vote is a violation of federal law. For those playing at home, the law Hasen points to is 52 USC 10307C, which states, quote, whoever knowingly or willingly gives false information as to his name, address, or period of residence in the voting district for the purpose of establishing his eligibility to register to vote, or conspires with another individual for the purposes of encouraging his false registration to vote or illegal voting, or, and this is in bold, or pays or offers to pay or accepts payments either for registration to vote or for voting shall be fined not more than $10,000 or in prison not more than 5 years or both. Now, the problem, as Mistel notes here, the DOJ has noted that giving rise to the polls is fine, but you can't do things like give people cash, liquor, or food stamps, or lottery chances, sounds like a lottery, to induce them to register. Musk is violating the law. But for that to matter,
explicitly mentioning lottery is very clutch of that.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's crazy that Musk is doing what he's doing. They're almost daring. We'll get into this in a second. Musk is violating the law, but for that to matter, somebody has to prosecute him for his violations, and that job unfortunately rests with Merrick Garland. Garland sent Musk and his PAC a letter earlier this week in which he warned that they could be violating federal law. Garland is reportedly monitoring and investigating the situation. Musk ignored the warning and announced more winners. And, people should read the whole piece in The Nation. But yeah, this is the thing that is kind of wild about it, is that like not only is all of the things that Musk has been saying about the and like we don't need to do this, but like the Democrat Party, million problems with them. But like Musk is now promoting and pushing extremely dangerous conspiracy theories and anti-democratic messaging that don't believe the results of the election. If they lose, if Trump doesn't win, something bad has happened, right? And also directly interfering in an American election by literally trying to pay people to vote the way that he wants them to. Now, there's a kind of, tension here, and it's unfortunate that the people charged with enforcing this belong to a political party that is very afraid of political conflict. Because the Republican Party right now, Musk and Trump, are both have been engaged in varying degrees of criminality and abuse of the system. And yet whenever they get kind of challenged on it, charged or pursued for those the law breaking that they've been engaged in, they just say, oh, well, look, it's the system trying to shut us up because we're pursuing the truth.
Yeah, the mention of Xi Jinping earlier, I don't like the speech situation, say in China. That's not the something that I would do. I will say, like, you probably should have a understanding of how America jams those channels with things like, even during coronavirus, anti-vax propaganda. Wouldn't you know about it? So that's not something that I look to, but nonetheless, free speech thing isn't something I look toward Xi Jinping for. But I will say, the iron hand that they have over their sort of billionaires, because every once in a while you'll get somebody saying, like, they have billionaires in China too, or millionaires at least, right? Yeah, but those guys get dealt with if they start acting out in a certain way. And the degree to which ours do not is actually maybe the glaring problem, and probably something that is going to be most obvious to history 50, 60 years from now.
I think you're 100% right. As a little treat, because we talked about how worrying things are, the good news about all this is that while Musk is trying very, very hard to influence this election, maybe to buy it even, the good news is that he's still Elon Musk, which means he's very bad at the things that he sets his mind to.
Still a charlatan, yep.
He's still a huge charlatan. And this story, I could not believe it. And I don't know how engaged people in the audience have been in like working political campaigns before, but this is a really big fuck up. I didn't realize how much Trump, Matt, has been leaning on Elon. I knew that they were willing to accept money, but it turns out that the Trump campaign, and this is a new thing. So people know PACs, the charade that we have in this country to try to say that billionaires trying to buy American elections is actually free speech. Traditionally, they're not allowed to coordinate with a political campaign, right? And while that hasn't changed, new rulings from the U.S. judicial system have said that ground game operations can have coordination with PACs and campaigns. And this is new for this cycle in 2024. Everyone else is sort of operating under the old playbook, except for the innovators, Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Like, what a fucking joke, man. That like, it's just like, let's just ease into it, where this entire election just becomes a giant, like, something to buy and sell. Like,
yeah. Well, this is amazing. So this is from The Guardian just last week. Revealed Trump ground game in key states flagged as potentially fake. Data suggests canvassers linked to Elon Musk's America PAC falsely claimed to have visited homes of potential voters. Now, I want to get into the fraud, but just really quick for folks who might not be following what this is and what it means. What it means is that Trump's the Trump campaign and Elon Musk's PAC, you hire people to go and canvass, right? Which means knock doors, which means, hey, come out and vote for our candidate. Here's your polling places, blah, 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 right? This is massive. This is how you win elections. This is the ground game. This is like what politics is about. When it says that they're fake, what that means is there are guys out there who are taking checks from Elon Musk's political action committee and just hanging out. And not knocking on doors, but saying that they are. And
Smart.
This is widespread in this campaign. So going back to this piece here, I really can't get over how good this is, and I have a personal story to tell. Trump's campaign may be failing to reach thousands of voters they hope to turn out in Arizona and Nevada. I mean, two states that, they definitely want to pick up, particularly Arizona. With roughly a quarter of door knocks done by America PAC flagged by its canvassing app as potentially fraudulent, according to leaked data and people familiar with the matter. The potentially fake door knocks, which canvassers falsely claim to have visited a home, could present a serious setback for Trump as he and Kamala Harris remain even in the polls. The Trump campaign, earlier outsourced the bulk of its ground game to America PAC, the political action committee founded by Elon Musk, betting that spending millions of dollars to turn out Trump supporters, especially those who don't typically vote, would boost returns. But America PAC data obtained by The Guardian shows that roughly 24% of the Arizona and 25% of the door knocks in Nevada this week were flagged under its internal unusual survey logs and metric used to determine fake doors. Now, we can get into it in just a second, but this means if Trump loses either of those states by a close margin, this 100% means that Elon Musk and his stupidity, and I guess by extension Trump's and the Trump campaign for entrusting Elon Musk with this kind of thing, might literally cost Donald Trump the election.
There's a reason politicians typically try to go for like grandmas at bingo halls and not like crypto scammers and like wrestling fans, because it's not really as reliable as the civic engagement you get from those sort of folks. But I haven't felt FOMO like this since the CARES Act, where we should have got left reckoning some money. The people that are on Elon's clock going to restaurants and saying that they are knocking doors, I love those people. I probably individually might not like them if I got to know them, but I just want to say, like, as a concept, they're one of my favorite class of individual going right now. So
this is true what Matt is saying, that basically there are just people who are getting paid. I don't know how much they were getting paid individually, but basically a bunch of canvassers. They're hiring paid canvassers, which is a kind of risky strategy. I'll say this if you ever worked on a political campaign, because when you're paying somebody $15, $20, who doesn't have a job in November, in October, sometimes you're getting people who are trying to get into politics to get started. Sometimes you're getting guys who just like want to make a couple bucks, and they hired a lot of these guys in the Musk Trump campaign here. And there are people who were just, because you learn, I mean, I've done this before. When I was in college, a freshman in college in Washington, D.C., I was approached by somebody on campus who said, "Hey, do you want to make $20 an hour?" I'm like, "Yes, sir, I do." And he said, "Are you interested in politics?" "Oh, yeah, fine." And I knocked doors for John Delaney, who's like one of the most insane Democrats who ended up running for president later.
David was an original Delaney-iac.
No, I had no idea what was going on. And like I didn't even know who John Delaney was. And like one of the opposing mailers against him was that like John Delaney was a loan shark, which is like pretty much true in a way. He was a nasty like Wall Street guy. He's like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but they're paying me $20 an hour to knock doors. Well, pretty soon after like doing it once or twice, I realized like what a sheet looks like, like, because that's what I do is you turn in your sheet at the end of the day. It's like, this is what 100 door knocks would look like when I turned it in. And I just started filling it in. And fucking around and going to Starbucks and like doing this kind of thing. So finding out that Musk and Trump have gone through this, but on a mass scale, is quite a beautiful thing. And like, literally in this story in The Guardian, there's, people are just like eating at like Mexican restaurants and hanging out and having margaritas and stuff while getting paid by Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
You know that song "Getting Away with It"? It's like an 80s song.
Yeah.
I've been getting away with it all my life. That's the best feeling in I think the world. Like I remember I had a job once in high school where I was supposed to clean a bunch of phones, and I was given like 2 weeks to do it. And I started cleaning them, and I realized, and the person just guessed how much. And I started cleaning them and realized this is going to take me like 2 days. But I ran the clock out so that
Yeah.
I got paid that full time. And honestly, looking back to it, it's like, that was fucking awesome. I was so happy. And it probably, like, you know, it wasn't that much money, but it's just like getting one over on a system, because it's like, you know, for some big phone company, who gives a shit. But to get one over on like just a shitty reactionary political pack that's free money. That's, you know, as Tim Heidecker says, that's free real estate.
It's free real estate, and everyone who has been working and doing this for Blitz Canvassing, which is the company that is responsible for this, you are an American patriot, and you are welcome to come on Left Reckoning at any time to tell us about your techniques and strategies.
Absolutely. And if you want to pitch an NFT or something, you've earned it, buddy.
yeah, we'll let you get one free pitch on the program. I mean, there's so much more we could do with this guy, but I want to spend some time on it. Because it is honestly, in all seriousness, I really, I mean, I know you and I have talked about this off mic. The thought of Elon Musk being anywhere in the American government is an absolutely mortifying and frightening thought to me. Not only because of you know, his antics, but this is somebody who I think has an actual deep hatred of American democracy and the values of democracy in and of itself, of like equality, of political power belonging to the people, not just to the elites. So, you know, this is somebody I want to ensure is as far away from political power as possible.
Also, you think he might die.
Yeah, no, he's definitely going down. I'm sorry. No. I mean, this is the thing about, put that photo up again. Like this like will prove my point. I mean, this guy is so cracked out, and I think he is huffing all of the Trump shit, and he believes all of the conspiracy. And I think there's no doubt about it that, particularly with some of his habits, let's say, that have been reported by the media, that this guy, if there is Jan 6-2. This guy will be the one rushing into the Capitol, and it might not end as he hopes. So that's my hot take there.
Well, inshallah.
We'll see. We'll see. All things are possible. We'll see what happens, folks. But we appreciate all of y'all so much. Thank you for coming to this Sunday show. We'll be back next Tuesday with our final episode before the 2024 election. Boy, are we excited.
Oh, God. Yeah. See you, folks.